This is one of the most consequential bills that we will be endeavoring in this session. It really deals with the extremely high and needless deaths of at-risk children in our state because of fentanyl. Right now, it is extremely difficult to remove kids from homes where they're filled with fentanyl, and we've seen the data. The deaths have increased exponentially. And in the underlying bill, there is a phrase called great weight. The bill says the court shall essentially give great weight to the removal of the child if there's fentanyl abuse present in the home or with the parents. And the problem with great weight is that it could be applied differently across different jurisdictions, and it's like kind of the lowest standard. Back in committee, we tried presumption, and that was probably the wrong way to go because it's likely unconstitutional. But luckily for us, there's a middle ground, and that's rebuttable presumption. It essentially says we presume that this is a danger, but we give the parents a chance to rebut that presumption. So this is the middle ground amendment, and this is the amendment that I truly, deep down in my heart, believe will be the bullseye that helps protect these kids from needless deaths because of high-potency synthetic opioids like fentanyl and tranq. I really feel that we need to accept this amendment. It is going to be the best thing that we can do to perfect this good bill right now. It does need work. It's not the sweet spot. This is the best thing we can do, and I really need your support on this amendment. Thank you.
I had some language drafted that was fairly strong intent language for this bill, and I would like to tell you why, because I'm happy that we are finally talking about fentanyl in Washington State and the damage it can do to children and family. But just 2 weeks before we came back to session, about 2 miles from my house, a young 4-year-old girl was in a hotel room with her parents, her father who had a protection order against him and is a former drug abuser. And the mom and dad were in the bathroom, and the little girl knocked on the door. This is a newspaper article where the 8-year-old brother had testified. The little girl knocked on the door to tell her mom she was hungry. And after being hungry, they didn't come out of the bathroom. She died. They took her to the hospital. She had 2 Rainbow Skittle fentanyl pills in her stomach and 1 up her nose. And I think we really need to start sending a stronger message in Washington State, which is why I made changes to the intent section. So I'm encouraging a yes vote to show in Washington State that we care about kids.
I was hoping not to get to this amendment, but here we are. And what this amendment would do is basically tell Department of Children, Youth, and Families when there is a situation where there's fentanyl present. The underlying bill says, yes, it is an imminent harm. There's a lot of language that says it's an imminent harm, but we want them to go file a dependency petition. And so by doing so, we can, even with the great weight language, try to protect these kids a little bit more. I think that there's an underlying culture between Department of Children, Youth, and Families and our courts where social workers and caseworkers are discouraged from going to the courts for various reasons. And we want to bring back the culture that says, hey, first we protect the kids and we should file for a dependency when we see this, what we're now trying to write into law, that is an imminent harm. And we should do so to make sure that we have max protection for kids and the least amount of needless child deaths in our state. Thank you. This amendment would basically, originally this bill had fentanyl testing strips within it, and then it was removed, but I would like to put it back in. It's one more tool our social workers can use to find the presence of highly synthetic potent opioids or fentanyl or tranq or anything else, especially as we find that a lot of fentanyl is made to look like something else, like Representative Connors just described, like Skittles, and it's also lacing other drugs as well. And that is a present danger to people and their families. And so I would urge adoption of this amendment. This amendment would require the Department of Children, Youth, and Families to provide funds to cover the burial costs of the children that die under their care in this state. We're at crisis levels of kids dying in our state. We had over 85 child fatalities and over 60 near fatalities just last year. And so if we don't hit a bullseye on this underlying policy and perfect it so that it has the maximum protection for kids, we can bet our bottom dollar that there is going to be another 100 deaths that were totally needless by the time we gavel in next session. And so if the Department of Children, Youth, and Families is going to place kids in this untenable situation and not give them a second chance at life, then maybe they should cover the burial costs. Urging a yes.